An overnight curfew has been enforced in Los Angeles, where police say they made mass arrests after a fifth day of protests over President Trump's controversial deployment of the National Guard and Marines. The White House says the troops are needed in order to protect border control agents on immigration raids. California's Governor Newsom, fiercely opposes the deployment. He has called it inflammatory. Here's some of what he's been saying.
Donald Trump, without consulting California law enforcement leaders, commandeered 2,000 of our state's National Guard members to deploy on our streets, illegally and for no reason. This brazen abuse of power by a sitting president inflamed a combustible situation, putting our people, our officers, and even our National Guard at risk. That's when the downward spiral began. He doubled down on his dangerous National Guard deployment by fanning the flames even harder.
The mayor of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, announced an overnight curfew in the city centre. The order affecting an area roughly 1 square mile in size in downtown LA. You can see it here on this map that was posted by the mayor's office. It will be enforced between 8 p.m. and 6 a.m. local time. That is less than an hour from now. Some people were granted exceptions: emergency, medical personnel, people who live and work there, and media as well with formal credentials. We have the latest pictures to show you as well from LA, where at least one group of protesters appear to be defying that curfew. They are moving through an area where police have not closed off the road. LAPD posting on social media that it was addressing what it described as multiple groups and that mass arrests were being initiated. Footage too of several people being detained in the downtown area. Not clear if those arrests are for defying the curfew or failing to observe an earlier dispersal order from the scene of an unlawful assembly. For more details, here's Jared Hill in New York.
Lucy, we've seen these demonstrations happening in New York, in Chicago, as well as parts of Texas, Washington, D.C., California, obviously multiple of those. Here in New York yesterday, there were hundreds of people, if not somewhere close to 1,000, who were protesting really in one particular part of the city. I think that that's one of the things that's important to keep in mind here with all of these protests that we're seeing, is that largely they are pretty isolated to specific parts of these cities. There were a couple of dozen arrests yesterday here in New York, mostly related to things like disorderly conduct. There is another protest scheduled for today here in New York as well. One of the big questions, obviously, is going to be how long does this last? How much do we continue to see these protests around this specific issue? There have obviously been constant protests ever since President Trump took office, and this is the latest powder keg.
Well, Jared, they're mentioning where we have also seen some protests in Texas. The governor there, Greg Abbott, he's a Republican, has announced that he's deploying the National Guard at several locations across the state. He says he wants to, in his words, ensure peace and order. And that follows reports, which he has posted links to on social media, that he is also sending troops to the city of San Antonio ahead of planned protests against the federal crackdown on immigration, which has led to thousands of deportations.